Welcome to Amy Hansen of agentOS. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. Now, we're obviously communicating today virtually via the medium of Zoom. And this has obviously been our status quo for the past 12 months at least now. And slowly things seem to be opening up again and people are getting back into the swing of things. And a move back to work for some is very welcome because they want to get out of the house, they want to get back into the workplace. And there's a lot of hesitancy out there as well. So there's a lot of people that are very apprehensive about coming back to work because we've all got very used to working remotely. So one of the most interesting things, when you reached out last week and you said, hey, I think I've got something that might be able to help agents. What was lovely, it was a very generalized solution in terms of this is how you can help agents work more flexibly, which nobody at the moment's trying to sell. Nobody at the moment's trying to help with that. But it's such a huge thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've always been about solving agents' problems. And at the moment, that problem is, do your staff want to come back into work or can they come back into work? I mean, I can imagine at the moment, well, some of my family is struggling as single parents and no after school care. So they can't commit to those normal full-time hours.
Yeah.
So how we can help people get either back into the office or make their jobs work from home. And because I know across the board, I think it's KPMG have told staff, 16,000 staff, to they can leave work early 1 day a week because they're trying to make it as flexible as possible. Yeah. And if the big boys are doing it, surely it'll affect even our industry doing stuff like that.
So in terms of sort of challenges in adapting to going back to work, I mean, you guys principally, you have fantastic, and I've gone on record of saying this before, but I'm a user, so I'm allowed to say this. I've tested the product myself, but you have a fantastic CRM primarily that is quite lettings focused, isn't it, in terms of property management, and it makes life a breeze. But what are the other tricks that you've got in your tool bag to help us?
Yeah, I think the first thing we noticed on the first lockdown was how much people struggled with their software not being cloud-based, or even if it was cloud-based, things needed to be done in the office, especially things like client accounting.
Yes.
Which is where we've got Agent Pay, which is an app, or if you're a client of OS, you can have a full service. And it just means that you can do your accounting, or you can get us to do your client accounting for you, which first of all is a great help for those that can't do full hours.
Yeah.
Or you can do it from like the palm of your hand in an app. And it just is such a solution for people who can't get into the office to use their card readers and things like that. So that was the kind of first thing we noticed. But as time's gone on, we decided to look at apps as the big way to kind of help people.
Yeah.
And we've developed the NEG app. So it means that NEGs don't have to go back into the office, NEGs and valuers. So everything can be done remotely for them from a tablet or from a phone.
So in terms of sort of full functionality, getting access to all the information they need.
It's not full functionality of the system because our system is so complex. To put that in an app it would probably blow up the App Store.
Okay. You heard it here first. agentOS blowing up an app store near you.
This is more about making their lives easier because obviously there's still regulations around how many people can be in an office. So you want key people to be in the office to deal with your leads, to deal with phone calls, to push sales and things through. So for a neg to be out and about, they shouldn't have to come back to the office. They should just be, or evaluate, just bang, 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 constantly going to viewings or going to valuations. But with our app, not only can you see the diary and all the appointments and all that, which is out there, but now you can put offers in that goes directly back into the system. But you can if someone views a property they want to let, they can fill it all in there on your phone or your iPad and apply for a property there and then. And all feedback goes back into the system. So your little person who's got to call the landlord once a week goes, I've got all the information here. Nothing gets missed.
Fantastic. Well, because that's been one of the challenges of remote working, that we've all got different bits of notes written down somewhere, and then it's collating those and keeping them in one place. But I suppose if the central focus is that people are interacting via the app, it makes sure that it's always stored in the same place every
the
time.
linking back to the system is the big thing for us. Being able to see all your appointments and linking back and feedback, and you can make a sales offer, you can make a lettings offer, you can get your tenants to, you know, fill things in. So that was the first app, and we were looking at that before lockdown. So we were like, hey, end of the game. The big one that's come through recently, which is it's in beta testing with our clients at the moment, is our contractor app.
Okay.
And this will save property managers so much time, because they have so many contractors coming in and out of the office with their invoices, and they're having to upload, and then they're having to pay them. Or so this is an app where the contractors put the invoices in themselves, and then it all gets automatically paid to them, and it all gets automatically assigned to the system.
So no more contractors waiting to see
no
you
more
in the
contractors
office.
spending an hour in the office chatting.
We're going to have, do you mean we can have a clean floor in our office for more than a week? That's amazing. Well, that's always the thing with contractors. It's great. When they come in and visit you, they leave this trail of dust, building rubble and destruction.
Also, you know, they are the chattiest people in the world. So poor property managers, you've got one of the worst jobs in the industry, and they're getting distracted by contractors. And this also means your property manager can work from home. They don't need to be in the office, which is one less body in the office for COVID.
Well, let's go back to that, because a lot of us have, you know, the minute they said they were going to reopen the pubs, a lot of people got excited and thought, right, well, that's it. We are going to be able to throw out all the COVID caution and we're going back to life as normal. Let's face it, we hope, fingers crossed, this is the last time we have to do this. But if this has taught us anything, we should be prepared for the next time it does happen.
Yeah,
practically speaking, we need to be prepared for the future. We need to build disaster planning into our business and our workforce.
There are people that are feeling nervous about coming back in. I mean, there's something like half the population feels nervous about going back into their office. I think it's probably the DVLA in Swansea started that issue. So people became a bit worried about going back to work. And I think it's unfair to force people, this is my view, and obviously that comes because I have an amazing boss, to come back to the office if they've got anxiety about it. If you've got good staff, then you don't have to worry about them working from home, and you should try and keep them by being as flexible as possible. And there's so many different HR articles out about how flexible working is just what's going to happen going forward. Yeah. So I think that's where the prop tech is really going to step in for our industry now. And those that are good at what they do should start shining better than others. Because
flexible working doesn't need to mean that Amy's at home doing half a job. She's not doing half a job because she's got the tools, in actual fact, to enable her to work a bit more flexibly. If she needs to go out and pick up the kids or whatever it is, that's not the end of the world, is it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's things like we've actually found were working better and harder because they were working at home. But then there were others that had that anxiety that wanted to come back into the office because they were feeling alone and quite remote. So it's you know, apples and pears really on who feels what.
And if you're one of those bosses who is a control freak and can't put up with the fact that people are working at home because you need to see how productive they're being, and presuming if they're using the app and they're noting things down, you can directly see and judge.
Yeah, there are people in our industry that have put those kind of apps in place as well. I think Tom Paul's one of them, where you can see how much work your staff are doing. Yeah. Which, you know, if that works for him and his team, then that's great. But I think that's a little scary. So other apps as well that we offer are landlord apps. That's another thing to stop landlords coming in for chat or a rant, is that they can access an app and find all the information, all the deductions, the rent payments, missed payments.
So that's a live user interface. Basically, they get an up-to-date statement, a snapshot of their account at any time. And so that also, it helps to make that anxiety of being in control and sort of knowing what's going on. It helps you communicate that with your landlord. It's not going to stop them from calling, but it's...
Well, you'd like to think that some landlords would look at that first, or at least you can say, check the app.
Yeah. So and that's fantastic, and that's basically fed from the main agentOS software. So effectively, whenever they check it, it's there. And obviously, it's a landlord clean and friendly view. They don't get to see any sort of behind the scenes information.
No. I mean, if you have to be careful about some of the stuff you may write on notes.
Okay. I've never said a bad thing about my landlords ever. Only good things. So you have to be careful what you're noting and where you're noting. You have to be happy, I suppose, that is going to be published directly to the landlord if they check on
there's
it.
certain areas where you can say what you like, and then there's certain areas that will end up on their statement.
Okay. So what percentage of the agentOS workforce at the moment are in the office, and how many of you are at home?
So there's 25 people working employed by the company, and most of us are working from home. We're slowly beginning to offer people to come back into the office. There are a few that want to go in, and then we've said once things go back to complete normal, people can work from home if they want for like 1 or 2 days a week to help them, because we found that doing video calls with clients, it's no good in the office, it's noisy. So they can do their day of video calls at home, depending on what their setup is at home. So yeah, we found that it's much more flexible. Of me, I'm always working from home.
No, so I'm going to say, like, we know each other outside of work, if you like, and at the beginning of lockdown, I felt, I guess going back a year ago now, I was like pretty anxious about it, and you're one of the people that made it easier, because I think you're much more comfortable with this whole video, drinking from the comfort of your own sofa. It
was brilliant. I loved the first lockdown.
But it's good. But in terms of working, then, that for a lot of people, this is where they're at for the foreseeable future in terms of flexible working spaces. I
think we were always working towards this before COVID, and then COVID just has sped up the use of technology and the flexible working. Because I just think when we are hiring at agentOS, I'll look at a lot of kind of parents as well as, everyone else, because some people would rule a parent out who had to leave at 3, but we're like, there are some parents at work that look the child carers who are so incredibly qualified, but because a company wants them to work 9 to 5, they can't take that job. Whereas we're like, if you need to leave at 3, then we can work that out. We can shift your job around.
I think this is one of the biggest wins has been for single parents particularly. No longer does anybody have to apologize, oh, I've got to go and do this, or I've got to go and do that. It's part and parcel of life, and we've learned that we're resilient enough and flexible enough, and we've got the technology and the solutions to be able to allow you to carry on working. You could be just as productive as somebody who...
Exactly. I remember when I first started working at agentOS, and Glyn said to me, because I was doing 3 hours of commuting a day on a train, so an hour and a half each way. And he gave me a laptop and said, use that time. So I don't want you trying to get in for 8:30 and leave at 5. Get on a train at 8:30 and work, and you'd probably be more productive because there's no one talking to you.
Yeah.
So, and that was 6-7 years ago. So he's been ahead of the trend, but don't tell him I said it.
I'm going to give Glyn credit where it's due. He has offered a tremendous amount of support, I think, to his staff, but also that flexibility and that understanding to know that actually it makes business sense at the end of the day. And it's trust, isn't it?
Exactly. If you're hiring someone you don't trust, why are you hiring them?